I'm JJ from Strengthen You, and today we're going to talk about 3 recovery strategies, some honorable mentions, and some common misconceptions. First off, we'll be talking about recovering from training and not recovering from injury. Look for videos from our therapy team on that. If we want to train and progress optimally, we also have to recover optimally. It means that we can work out more frequently and get the most that we can out of each training session. So now let's go through what my top 3 recovery strategies are. In no particular order. Number 1 being nutrition. So we touched on the pre-workout meal in a previous video, but now let's touch on the post-workout meal. In my opinion, the most important meal of the training day. So resistance training is inherently catabolic, meaning that it breaks down muscle tissue in order to produce energy. And that's good. We want the muscle to have to restructure itself and come back bigger, stronger, faster. The way to manage this damage is to halt the breakdown process as quickly as possible and begin the recovery process. And the quickest way to do that is carbs, glorious carbohydrates. I suggest having the majority of your carbohydrate intake around the workout on days that you train, as this will be the time when it is utilized best. Further, taking in adequate protein throughout the day will ensure a steady stream of amino acids into the body. Protein. So here's a little high school biology refresher for you guys. The catabolic process breaks down muscle proteins into amino acids, while the anabolic process uses those amino acids to create proteins in a process called protein synthesis, which aids in the repair and regeneration of muscle cells. The International Society of Sports Nutrition recommends post-exercise ingestion of a high-quality protein immediately to 2 hours post-exercise. So be sure to have a full balanced meal as soon as you can after training. All right, so strategy number 2 is an obvious one: sleep. If we're not sleeping, we're not recovering. Sleep is where a lot of the body's restorative processes occur. Now, there are 5 stages of sleep. And they kind of rotate between REM and non-REM cycles. Oh no, I've said too much. The first few sleep cycles are very light until we get into the deeper sleep cycles. So this is where tissue repair and growth actually happens. So REM, or rapid eye movement, where we typically dream, helps repair cognitive capacity. The amount of each of these are dictated by your circadian rhythm. If you deviate from your normal sleeping hours, you're taking away from one or more of these sleep cycles. For example, if you sleep too late, you might miss out on some of the physical repair. If you wake too early, you'll wake up maybe feeling unmotivated. The best way to set this rhythm correctly is to develop a routine. Sleep and wake at the same times, schedule downtime, and sort of create a pre-sleep ritual. So I know life happens and we can't always stick to this, but the more we can adhere to it, the better our results will be in the long run. So strategy number 3 is what I call training within your means, or training at appropriate volumes for yourself. The term within your means typically refers to budgeting money. So think of your recovery like currency. Every time you train, you got to pay money to recover. And there's only so much that you can spend in a day, a week, a month before you go broke.
I'm broke, baby. I ain't got no money.
So this is important because none of the other strategies are powerful enough to combat consistent and non-functional overreaching. So if you're pounding yourself into the ground and wondering why you're not progressing, so this brings the conversation to programming, right? Organizing your workouts so that you know that you're progressively doing enough to get a response out of the body, but not too much that you can't bounce back in a timely manner. If you're unsure about how to organize your workouts, our classes and one-on-one personal training takes the guesswork out of it for you. So how do we know if we're overreaching? Soreness is a good marker for this. Studies on DOMS, or delayed onset muscle soreness, have overwhelmingly shown that training a sore muscle can interfere with the recovery process and reduce force capacity by up to 50%. So if the weights you used on Monday feel much heavier by Friday, it's probably time to employ some of those other recovery strategies. Also, strategies like taking a light session or an active rest day, maybe even a day off, or even a whole deload phase can also be beneficial. So honorable mention goes out to flexibility and mobility training and self-myofascial release. Now, there isn't the body of evidence that these other points have, but it is worth noting. Flexibility and mobility training will be very individual and very dose dependent. So if your sport or activity has a flexibility and mobility prerequisite, then it does make sense to spend some time on that style of training. If you're lacking in range of motion and it restricts you from performing exercises correctly, then flexibility training is absolutely needed. However, too much of this kind of training will take away from your recovery, as it does take effort to perform. Limited studies have shown that self-myofascial release, the foam roller, the lacrosse ball, can help with range of motion, but it's not something that you need to spend hours and hours on. I recommend a few minutes max pre and post-workout, followed by some static stretching. And that is unless you're working on increasing a specific range of motion, then more time can be allotted. And the final honorable mention is going to be supplementation. Protein powder can be a convenient way of getting your post-workout protein in.
I love protein.
I know you love protein. I love protein too. There's
also some good evidence on intra-workout carb drinks. Now, these are high-quality, easily digested carbs taken during your workout. It'll help you get through some of those longer workouts while keeping your performance up and helping you recover after. And the final supplement being omega-3s or fish oils. There are some, although limited, studies to say that it does help with muscle soreness. So try adding those in, or getting your servings of fatty fish. That being said, if a supplement is touted as a recovery supplement and it doesn't have carbs or protein, it's probably not worth it. So remember guys, if we want to perform well in the gym, we have to recover well everywhere else in life. I'm JJ from Strengthen You, and you're only one strategy away from crushing your fitness goals.